Hey y'all. Hey Divine Tribe. Hey beautiful people. This your girl TK or Tahiri Divine. So happy to be with you all today on this Girl Chat Wednesday. So I am excited to bring forward a topic that I have been digging into as of late, and I'm really think it's something that as women we should really be more hip to, right? So you guys know that I love talking about yoni breathing, the womb health, and I haven't been as heavy on that as much as I was in the past, but I really wanted to bring that back up because I think there is some really great, I hate to say new information because it's not new information, but it is being presented more prevalently. And I want to talk about our menstrual cycles. And this conversation about the menstrual cycle is going to be focusing on the whole or the totality of the menstrual cycle. As women, I feel like there has been a disservice or like this injustice because I'm all about justice with this whole entire Libra season, right? We're talking about justice and we need justice for the yoni, for the womb, okay? So, the justice that I think, or the injustice, is that we have not been given proper information about our hormones and how our hormones really do affect the menstrual cycle. And from my own research, right, what has been coming up for me this past spring, I decided to get a female panel done to check to see where my hormones are at. And I mean, I'm normal, which is good. And what inspired that was I was in a room on Clubhouse, and not even just before I got to Clubhouse. What really inspired that was my mother's experience with going through menopause, and just some of the wonky things that was happening within her journey as she's been transitioning through it. And I was like, you know what? These kind of conversations need to be more prevalent because I just don't, a lot of women don't talk about it. And I think too, there's so much like miseducation, so much that we don't know, so much ignorance around our own bodies that what is there to really share, right? So with her going through her experience, and then also I can remember when I was in like my early to mid 20s, I was a part of this Bible study group where a few of the women who were, it was like young adults, so we were like the 20s to like about age 30 was like the group, and there was a young lady that was like, and she was 30, and she was making a comment about how she's been feeling her hormones go crazy. She thinks she's in like early menopause, like it starts when you're in your 30s, and I was like, what? You start menopause in your 30s? I thought that was like a thing you do like when you're in like your late 40s to your 50s, right? I thought I had time. So it kind of was always on the forefront of my mind, this whole concept of like going through menopause. Hey, can you grab my charger for me? My laptop charger. And so anyway, so that was kind of like always in the back of my mind. So now that I'm in my 30s and my mother started going through her change of her transition, I was like, yo, I need to like get more information. And can you plug it in right there for me? Get more information so I know how to like maneuver through this thing. So that's what inspired it. And then the clubhouse room I went to, I just happened to fall into a room with a few doctors or OBGYNs that specialize specifically in menopause and sharing their insights. So I think it's important to know not just to go through menopause, excuse me, because I'm trying to plug up my laptop. I don't want this thing to die on me. All right, we're good. Not just so much just because you want to prepare for menopause. I think it's just in general. And this is where it makes it really interesting because what I've learned, and a few other people are talking about this too, is about cyclic living is off your cycle. So we understand the menstrual cycle has season to it, or what we call seasons. Same way we have 4 seasons in our natural cycle, right? Winter, spring, summer, and fall. It's similar to our menstrual cycle that we go through because the menstrual cycle is more than just the actual time we're on our period or on our blood moon, right? It's the whole entire process from blood moon to blood moon, right? Or that's what I'll call it a blood moon. So because rock with me on that. But so when taking that in consideration, there's a difference of how we engage with our body during these seasons and recognizing this at an early age, especially like when we're young, like if I would have known this information when I was like, what, 12 years old, 11, 12, when I started my menstrual, it would have really changed the game. But that's neither here or there. Now I know, so I'm able to pass this information on to my daughters. So when they're coming to that part of their life, they'll have that information and be able to work through it with them. But anyway, so let's start with the actual menstrual cycle. Like, well, see how we have to change our framework of understanding, because I'm calling the menstrual cycle, and I'm talking specifically about, we automatically associate that with the period, the part of when we're on our actual blood moon. But that's not just the only part of the cycle. So bear with me as I am reprogramming. And hopefully that helps you guys to kind of be aware of the reprogramming of understanding here, right? So when we're on our actual menstrual, right? We're on the actual menstrual, that week or those days would be likened to your winter season, because that's when you'll be more introverted. That's when your energy and your levels of hormones are the lowest, because at that time in your body, you are now releasing the uterine lining, right? So your hormones are more lower. And during that time, your body would be more receptive to more hearty type of foods. So even how we are eating during that phase is something to be aware of, right? So you eat more hearty foods. You'll be more. I don't know. I get cold all the time. Like, that could be because I do have anemia, which I'm learning to work through that. But I notice for myself, like, I like to eat soups, and doesn't matter what the season is. I don't care what season it is. I like soups and really like homey type foods. It makes me feel more comfort. So it's like comfort is what I notice during that period when I'm on my period. Now, as you're crossing out of that, your hormonal levels, and as far as progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen, start to spark up, and that period is known or similar to being your spring cycle, right? You're in your spring season of your cycle. Your energy is a little bit more alert. You're more on a awareness and receptivity of being active. And so your eating pattern during that phase too would be more lighter foods. So they'll say things like, more fruits and vegetables, things that are not as heavy, because you're on an energetic lighting type of period, and your hormones are giving you the energy to be more of that, right? And there's a part I should have said first prior to that. With being on a cyclic living, it's a 28-day cycle, or 30, whatever your days, your periods or cycles are on. You're living off a 28 to 30 day cycle or 35-day cycle, versus only living in a 24-hour cycle. So a lot of our programming as women is on a 24-hour cycle, which isn't a bad thing, because we understand there's a 24 hours in a day. However, when we are consistently only living in a 24-hour cycle, we're actually living more in a masculine energy approach. Nothing's wrong with that, right? I think we need to be in tune with our masculine energy. However, if you are like myself, someone who's more on the feminine path, especially when it comes to your feminine path and your spiritual path, and you're aligning yourself more so in your feminine journey in harmony with your masculine journey, then it's important to recognize your 28, 35-day cycle just as much as you do the 24-hour cycle. So that's something to kind of help us reprogram our mind too, is like, oh goodness, like, let me be more receptive to this 28-day cycle that I'm on versus just my 24-hour cycle. And so men actually go through a period too. Their period is within that 24-hour cycle. And I actually talk about that in another video, but I want to get back to the cyclic living on the 20-day cycle. So week off of spring, which is the week after you are on your after the period portion. Then after that period, that is also time when you are highly fertile too. So mostly your fertile days will come during that. So I was under the misunderstanding growing up, like preteen to teenage years, that it's better to wait after your period to have sex, right? Which you can. However, if you're trying to avoid pregnancy, it's just wise to know that that is actually, you're entering into your fertile days. Because technically, ladies and gentlemen who are listening, we can only really get pregnant about 5 or 6 days out the month. And it's usually that 10-day period after your last day of your cycle is somewhere around those. There's like 5 to 6 days of that 10-day period that you are the most fertile. So just something to be aware of if you want to go on more cyclic living, if you're looking to be more in tune with your cycle, if you're even looking to like learn more of your cycle so you can avoid pregnancy or to time pregnancy. So it's either way how you want to do this thing. Something to be aware of. I'm gonna try to do another video too, guys, ladies. That's gonna be more picture-esque, and I'll have more of the professional terms or the medical terms for you guys too, so you guys can actually have that information as a resource. Because I think this is important, especially as I am growing in my practice and in my knowledge of myself, understanding these things, right? So yeah, let's get to now where your hormones are coming. They're coming to a close. They reached. Oh wait, no. Spring goes in summer. Excuse me. Summer cycle. Your summer cycle is when your hormones has reached its full peak. So you are like at the peak of your receptivity to be pregnant. So that's why I say 10 days after your period, you're gonna go through your spring, entering into your summer part of the cycle when you are the most heightened peak of receptiveness. This is actually a really good time to really do projects. So being aware of that, like if you are igniting new projects, this is the time where you have the most confidence in these projects. This is the time when your energy is like at the highest level that you can be to be the productive part of yourself. And also too, I think that's a really great time to see in your own personal natal chart how you store energy and how you exert it. Myself, I'm a Mars moon and a Mars Aries. Wait, did I say Mars moon? I'm an Aries moon and an Aries Mars. And so the way I hone energy is very fast action oriented. So I noticed within the practicing this cyclic living for the last year that I'm more adapt and more keen with my energy and more like I don't want to use the word cutthroat, but just focused with how I direct myself, and that has helped me in my manifestations as well because now I'm aligning my manifestations with my personal moon cycle, right? So that's really something important to consider. And we'll talk more about that in some other videos because I really, really want us to dig deeper into this practice and how we can integrate that. So then after you go from your summer cycle, then you go into what is your autumn fall cycle, which is now your hormones are slowing down. It's more about becoming more reflective. What has worked, what hasn't worked. So it's similar to the moon's phases. If you guys really want to just like hone it in, either you can call it seasons, like the natural seasons, or you can kind of tie it into the actual moon phases. And this is where I will say the fall or autumn part of the cycle, menstrual cycle, is similar to the quarter moon, right? So we have like you say winter is like the new moon. We have spring, which is like the waxing quarter moon or the waxing crescent. The summer is like the full moon. And then fall is going into the last quarter moon. So that right there is giving us showing how we are naturally in tune with not just the moon cycle itself, but how we can actually relay our body and what the changes are going with our body and the food intake and the hormonal energy. And we'll talk more about how to balance hormones in another video. But I really just want to introduce the concept of cyclic living. And then after you go out of your fall, autumn season of your cycle, you go right back into the new moon cycle, which is the period portion of that cycle. So taking that information in and learning more about this, how that has benefited me. One, I have better control of myself. Two, I have a better understanding of myself, and it actually helped me be less judgy of myself. And I'm a big judge. I'm gonna call it out right now. Heavy Virgo energy, and then lots of that Libra energy in my Mercury and my Sun. So there's a lot of judging that I do on myself, and I have learned to be more compassionate and give graciousness to myself by honoring that cycle. Because although I have a Mars moon, I don't keep saying that, Aries moon and an Aries Mars and like a fire sign rising, I noticed that my energy, I don't seem to keep that same energy all throughout the totality of my menstrual cycle. And I used to judge myself because like I was so in tune with my 24-hour cycle, like wake up, go to work, do this, do that, have this meeting, eat lunch, feel kind of crashed, take a coffee, get your day done, grab the kids, get dinner ready, get the homework done, like all that, all that stuff that you do in your 24-hour cycle, get ready for it all over again. And I was so out of whack and I was so frustrated, angry, hungry, drained, like all of that was happening. And then developing different ailments in my body because I wasn't necessarily listening to my body. I was more so just pushing through. And so when I adopted this practice this year, I kid you not, it really taught me the importance of rest, the importance of honoring the body, because like the body gets such a bad rap in the spiritual world. Sometimes I feel like there's so much focus and energy on meditation, which I'm all for that, on angels and ancestors and deities and these otherworldly concepts, which I'm not against. But when that is like the only focus in the spiritual realm and it's not integrated with your actual body and the function of the body, I feel like we really miss the mark because the body is spiritual. The fact that you're a human being is a spiritual act. Like that's a spiritual phenomenon, right? Spirit formulates itself into matter. So you matter. And you matter enough to know and learn about yourself and to allow yourself to honor your patterns, right? So tying all this in, I'm looking forward to sharing more of this information with you all. I'm gonna do actually a pre-recorded video so I can have like, I don't know, all the fancy stuff like pop up. I'm doing all this like something's supposed to pop up here. But I really think this is important information that we really tap into and utilize because it has changed the complete framework, especially if you are a female business owner. I'm gonna tell you right now, ladies, this is gonna really change how you do your business for the better. Because so much of the business world, like I'm telling you, so much patriarchy and this whole concept of putting masculine over feminine energy, and not saying either one is better than or greater than any other, but the over focus of masculine energy in our life is so embedded in our consciousness that we don't even realize it. Like even the way we do business, and I'm not saying that we can, as women and females, we don't thrive on a masculine cycle. Not saying that you cannot, but I feel like if we are really neglecting our feminine cycle, then I think that we're definitely I know we're definitely doing ourselves a disservice in how we serve ourselves, right? Our bodies, our mental, emotional states, how we serve our communities, how we serve our clients. So I look forward to showing us and how to really be in tune with that so that we can better be a better servants for our gifts. Because really, that's what you're serving. Like, even if you have a business or a service or anything, it's not so much about serving people, because you do serve people, but it's serving yourself. It's very self serving. It's like, if you're not taking care of this being that is creating the entity that's a business, then how you expect the entity and business to move forward if the person that's giving it the energy and the juice is not fulfilled first, right? So that is my little rant, and also hope you guys learned a little something. I think I'm gonna do another video that really digs into these topics more directly. You ladies can definitely take that and see like, hey, how can I apply this and work hand in hand with not just your family lives, but shoot, even take this to like your medical doctors and your physicians. Like, hey, this is what I've been noticing with myself. Let's come up with a plan together to ensure that I'm on track with myself and my goals for my life and my body and my physicalness and emotional nature and all that stuff, right? I think that's sovereignty in its best way of form by really taking the reins of your life in all areas. Well, okay, then that is all. That is your girl. I'm your girl, TK Divine. Also go by Tahiri, the metaphysical midwife, where you can find me on all my social channels. If you watch this whole entire video, go ahead and like this. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And stay in tune with me. More importantly, too, make sure you guys join my mailing list because that's where you really get exclusive content from me. And that's a great way for us to keep up, just in case all the social platforms go away. We have each other. Well, okay, guys, I love you all. Until next time, bye.